Alright guys, Bitcoin just broke down from this major pattern, but it just bounced off a very important level, and the next move could decide everything. Let me show you exactly what's going on. So in the previous video, Bitcoin was already trading below the rising wedge and sitting right at the golden pocket that we said was a major support and had a high probability of getting a bounce. And I also showed you the bullish divergence that was forming on the RSI right at the golden pocket level, higher low on the price and lower low on the RSI, which was another reason to expect a bounce from there. And of course, that is also where I took even more profits on my Solana short, which is still partially open right now. And from there, Bitcoin did exactly what we expected and got a bounce of nearly 3% up until now. And we also said that even though Bitcoin briefly swept the liquidity level above the recent high, it left major liquidations above it. So let's open up the liquidation heat map on the 1 week chart. And what you're going to see is that there are still major liquidations stacked up above the recent high. And if we zoom out a little to the 2 week chart, you can see it even more clearly. Hundreds of millions of short liquidations sitting right above the recent high. And on top of that, we now have a new liquidity level right here, with all those major liquidations still untouched above it. But now after a bounce, Bitcoin is approaching another very important area. So let's zoom in a little right here. What you're going to see is that Bitcoin is trading closer and closer to the bottom trend line of the rising wedge. And on this last push down, Bitcoin left this liquidity level right here. And if we take the Fib retracement and drag it from the top to the bottom of this move, what you're going to see is that the golden pocket falls right on top of the bottom trend line of the wedge and also lines up very well with the liquidity level. So we have three important things stacking up at the same area: the trend line, the liquidity and the golden pocket. And that is definitely an area I'm watching very closely in case Bitcoin does sweep the liquidity and get rejected right there. And if that does happen, I would even potentially fire a brand new short position from those levels. Now, why would a rejection from there be such a bearish sign for Bitcoin? Yes, the first thing is obviously the breakdown from the rising wedge. But the major thing is something much bigger than that. If we zoom out a little, what you're going to see is that Bitcoin has been trading in a clean bullish trend for the past month since this low at 65,000 US dollars. It has been making higher highs and higher lows the entire time. A higher low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high, and so on. And even this most recent high is technically a higher high than the previous one, even if only slightly. But if Bitcoin does get rejected at the bottom of the rising wedge, the liquidity and the golden pocket, that would likely give us the first lower high in a long time. And that would mean a break of the bullish market structure that has been in place for over a month. And of course, that would be a major bearish sign for Bitcoin. Now we also have to talk about the targets in case Bitcoin does get rejected around that area and completely break down from here. So let me show you exactly the levels I'm watching to the downside. If you look right here, what you're going to see is this first big liquidity level at approximately 73.6 thousand US dollars and another one slightly lower at 73.3 thousand US dollars. And if we take the anchored VWAP and anchor it at the bottom of this entire trend, you're going to see that it is coming in right at those liquidity levels. So we have three things stacking up at the same area: two liquidity levels and the anchored VWAP. That makes this whole zone a major target and also a major support for Bitcoin if it heads down. And then we have another liquidity level sitting all the way down at 70.4 thousand US dollars. And if we take the Fib retracement and drag it from the exact bottom to the top of this entire move, what you're going to see is that the golden pocket falls right on top of the liquidity level. So that is definitely another major target and a very important support for Bitcoin further down. And before I continue with everything else I have to show you in this video, I would really appreciate it if you guys are finding this helpful to like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Alright, let's get back to the video. And here is something I find very interesting. Let me zoom out a lot right here and show you this chart. What you're going to see is that Bitcoin has been dumping after every single one of the last 7 FOMC meetings. Push up into the FOMC, dump right after. Push up into the FOMC, dump right after. And I actually talked about this over a month ago, right before or during this major pullback right here. and Bitcoin took a massive dump after that one as well. Now of course, this does not tell us exactly where Bitcoin is going to go from here. I'm still trading from level to level and based on what the chart is telling me. But it is definitely an interesting thing and in my opinion something worth keeping in mind, especially with another FOMC coming up today. And while we are talking about timing, let me show you one more interesting thing. If we pull up this chart right here, what you're going to see is the average returns for Bitcoin per day of the week in 2026. And tomorrow is Thursday, which is on average the worst day for Bitcoin this year, and it brings mostly negative returns. So that is another small thing to keep in mind on top of everything else. Now if Bitcoin doesn't get rejected here and does manage to break back into the rising wedge above the golden pocket and the liquidity level, then I will be looking at slightly higher targets once again. The first one of course would be the liquidity level at the recent high and potentially all those short liquidations stacked above that we just talked about. And as you know, Bitcoin has been trading in this ascending channel for the past few months. And what you're going to see is that this last push up didn't quite reach the top of the channel just yet. So if Bitcoin does go up and sweep all those shorts stacked above the recent high, it could potentially even hit the top of the ascending channel one more time before getting rejected back down. So that's where we are. Bitcoin bounce, but the real test is right above us. Sweep and reject, short sprint, break back in, long sprint. As always, this is not financial advice and manage your risk. Let me know in the comments what you guys think and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.